I'm very happy, but in the same time, I don't play, for this, for this. I'm very happy to be here. It has been for sure a tournament I've also missed, last year. So I'm very happy and everything can happen. This sport is so unpredictable. So we try to keep, the attention very high as much as we can and then we'll see what's coming now in the next round. So I'm happy about today's performance. We are trying to improve and obviously no day in between off. So we try to rest up and hopefully be ready for tomorrow.
Yeah, that efficiency is obviously very important. It's also been, and I know you don't necessarily pay attention to these things, but 2.5 years since you last lost to a left-handed player. Are you able to kind of explain why that is? Is it the backhand being as strong as it is?
I don't know. I feel like, we have not so many lefties in our game, but in the same time, very different kind of lefties, we have Ben, who is a big server, and then we have, Tien and Mute. They are a little bit more tricky to play. Then we have, Chapo, which is, very different again. So, and I don't want to forget other players, but, we try to prepare in the best possible way, trying to be tactically and as perfect as possible, and trying to go for it. So I'm happy.
Jannik Sinner responds to Carlos Alcaraz and leaves Novak Djokovic behind. The Italian is thriving after the Spaniard's defeat and breaks a record at the Masters 1000 tournaments that Djokovic had held for a decade. Jannik Sinner has been given a huge opportunity to regain the world #1 ranking and has no intention of letting it slip away. The day after Carlos Alcaraz was eliminated in Miami, the Italian tennis player proved to be the machine that João Fonseca described him as, allowing Corentin Moutet to win just 5 games, 6-1, 6-4, in their round of 16 clash. After winning Indian Wells a few days ago, he is on track to do the same at the Miami Open 2026, with only Alexander Zverev appearing on the horizon as a possible threat. The German has lost their last 6 meetings and hasn't beaten him in 3 years, dating back to before Sinner reached the level he has shown in recent seasons. Such is his dominance that he has taken one of Novak Djokovic's records. The Serbian not only leads in Masters 1000 titles but also held the record for consecutive match and set wins. The latter no longer belongs to him, it now belongs to the player from San Candido. Unbeaten in Masters 1000 since Shanghai, Jannik Sinner is currently on a run of 3 consecutive Masters 1000 titles, having won the last one of last season, Paris, the first of this year, Indian Wells, and the 3 matches he has played so far in Miami, without dropping a single set in those matches. Djokovic had set the record at 24 consecutive sets from Indian Wells to Monte Carlo 2016, and Sinner has now reached 26 across his last 3 Masters 1000 tournaments. He achieved this in a match he also won without much effort, finishing it in 1 hour and 11 minutes. Corentin Moutet was swept aside in the first set and only managed to offer some resistance in the second, but not enough to threaten the world #2's victory. His next opponent will be the American Alex Michelsen, who came from behind over 2 hours in a difficult match against Alejandro Tabilo, 3-6, 6-3, 6-4. The physical toll, despite playing less than 24 hours later, should not affect him too much at 21 years old. Even so, he does not seem to have many chances against a Jannik Sinner who has beaten him in all their encounters and has not dropped a set against him. He cannot even rely on home advantage, as Sinner has beaten him in both of their previous meetings on U.S. soil, Cincinnati and the U.S. Open, both in the summer of 2024. Goodbye to the reigning Miami Open champion. Among the matches that wrapped up the day was the defeat of the tournament's defending champion, Jakub Mensik, who lost to the American Francis Tiafoe in a match where he had match points in his favor and which was decided 13-11 in the final tiebreak. The scoreline, 7-6-4, 4-6, 7-6-11 shows just how intense and evenly matched it was. After his unexpected and early elimination against Sebastian Korda, the Spanish player heads home to prepare for the crucial Monte Carlo Masters, where Jannik Sinner could take the top spot in the ATP rankings from him. Carlos Alcaraz has decided to press the pause button. The current world #1 will head to his hometown of Murcia to disconnect for a few days, a decision made after his early and painful loss to Sebastian Korda. This necessary physical and mental break comes at a critical moment in the calendar, just before the demanding European clay court swing. The first major challenge on the horizon for the Mercian will be the Monte Carlo Masters 1000, a tournament that this year presents itself as a pressure cooker for his ranking ambitions. The challenge of defending the crown in the Principality. The rest period in El Palmar will be short, as Alcaraz has an unavoidable appointment in Monaco starting April 4th. There, he will not only seek redemption for his recent setback but will also face the titanic task of defending the 1,000 points he earned last year after his brilliant victory in the final against the Italian Lorenzo Musetti. Any early exit on the clay of Monte Carlo would mean a massive loss of points in one go, a scenario of maximum vulnerability that his closest rivals are already watching closely. The real threat named Jannik Sinner. While Alcaraz rests, the action continues across the Atlantic, and the danger has a name: Jannik Sinner. The Italian is still competing in the Miami tournament round of 16. The math is clear and sets off alarm bells in the Spaniards' camp. If Sinner manages to lift the trophy in Florida, the ATP ranking will experience a seismic shift. The Italian would drastically close the gap, placing himself just over 1,000 points behind the top spot. This mathematical scenario sets up a nail-biting situation for the next tournament. If the Mercian fails to defend his title in Monte Carlo, losing his 1,000 points as the reigning champion, and Sinner wins in the Principality, the Italian would complete the overtake. If this combination occurs, Sinner would mathematically take the world number 1 ranking from the player from El Palmar. The next stop in Monte Carlo promises to be much more than the start of the clay season. It will be an all-or-nothing battle for the top of the tennis world. The clock is ticking, and Carlos Alcaraz's margin for error has completely disappeared. How much money Sinner earns for winning Indian Wells 2026? Jannik Sinner claimed his first Indian Wells Masters 1000 title in 2026 after defeating Daniil Medvedev in the final. The Italian capitalized on Carlos Alcaraz's slip to prevail at one of the Spaniards' favorite venues, where he had won in 2023 and 2024. In doing so, Sinner earned 1,000 points and closed that exact gap on Alcaraz in the ATP rankings. It also boosted his earnings by over $1 million. The prize money is the same for both the men's and women's draws. Therefore, at Indian Wells 2026, both Jannik Sinner and Aryna Sabalenka, who defeated Elena Rybakina in the women's final, received the same amount for their victories. How much Sinner earned for winning Indian Wells 2026? As mentioned, the prize money for the men's and women's draws at Indian Wells is equal. Therefore, both Sinner and Sabalenka took home the same amount, which is $1.15 million, approximately €1.01 million. The runners-up also receive a significant prize of $612,340, roughly €536,000. Total prize money at Indian Wells. Not only the top 2 players earn money at Indian Wells. Prize money is awarded from the first round, increasing from $24,000 up to the winner's prize. In total, the tournament distributes $9,415,725 in both its ATP and WTA formats. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Who do you think will take the number 1 spot? See you in the next video.